Hi everyone, welcome to the Hungry Expat. Today we're going to be looking at something that I think is to die for, licorice ice cream. Now the beauty of this is the fact that it's easy to make, you don't need an ice cream making machine, and if you follow the recipe it will be as good if not better than your top premium brands. Now we're not doing this for economy, I always use the best ingredients, so it's not necessarily going to be cheaper than buying a cheap brand in the shop. However, it'll be a lot cheaper than your premium brands, but also as good if not better. All you need, the main thing you need to make this, is just a reasonably good blender like this. Quite a high power blender, that is all you need. No ice cream making machine required. So, in a minute we're going to look at the ingredients. Before we do that, I'd just like you to know that next recipe, should you try this and you enjoy it, the next one will be blueberry cheesecake ice cream. So stay tuned for when I do that recipe. Okay, so let's look at the ingredients. Okay, for the ingredients now, this little baby here is called star anise. If you cannot get this, don't worry too much, but if you can get it, then use it because it will enrich the licorice flavour in the ice cream. These, about 6 or 7 of these licorice rolls, you get them in most sweet shops and supermarkets. As you can see, 6 or 7 there. Or you could use Pontefract cakes if you like. Now for the most important ingredients, 4 egg yolks. Now you can use 3, but I always use 4 for extra creaminess, and about 50 grams of butter. Also, feel free, if you're thinking of the economy, to use baking butter. It works just as well, but these two are essential for the creaminess of the ice cream, so don't forget these. Condensed milk, condensed sweetened milk rather, small tin of this. Now the only sugar you'll need in this recipe is all in here, so you don't need to add any extra sugar after this. All the sugar is in the sweetened condensed milk. And a large tin of condensed milk. Now, I used to use double cream or whipping cream, which probably costs 4 or 5 times as much as this. However, the results were no better. I've had just as good results as with this, so this is good enough. Now, optional ingredients. Couple of tablespoons or teaspoons of vanilla extract should you want to, but it's not necessary. Black food colouring, now I'll leave that up to you. What you'll find with this, it will make the ice cream more of a dark grey, but not black unless you use a lot. So I'll leave that up to you whether you want to use any black food colouring or not. I don't usually use it, but it's up to you. And the next optional thing is maybe 2 or 3 cupfuls of rum or vodka, whatever. Now the only reason for this is the fact that it lowers the temperature, the freezing point temperature of the ice cream, so that when you take it out of the freezer, you won't have to wait 5 or 10 minutes for it to soften up. It should come out soft and creamy as soon as you take it out of the freezer. But obviously, not a lot of people want to use any alcohol in there, so it's totally optional. You'll get just as good tasting ice cream without this. Okay, so that's the ingredients. Let's get started. Right, okay, so stage 1. Have your pan on a low heat. Get the condensed milk. In it goes. Remember, you want this on a low heat, because what we're going to do now is extract the flavour of the licorice. There goes the star anise, which we're going to be taking out later. If you want and you've got a strong blender, you can grind that in, as long as it's very, very fine. You can grind it in, but I will remove it. We're just going to put these licorice pieces in now to soften them up, because they're going to be blended later. So now for the next maybe 15 or 20 minutes, keep it on a low heat, and we just give it a stir like that. And what we're doing is we're softening up that licorice. So we'll leave that now for about 15 minutes, 20 minutes. Come back every minute or two and give it a stir like this. So you just basically, infusing the licorice into the condensed milk. That's all you have to do, stage 1. Okay, so we've let the star anise and the licorice infuse into the condensed milk. Now I'm going to leave the star anise in because I've got a very strong blender and I want the extra flavour, so I'm not going to remove the star anise. All I'm going to do now is pour the whole thing into the blender. There we go. So the licorice is in, the star anise is in, the condensed milk is in. Now next I'm going to drop the egg yolks and the butter in. Now just let me make sure I get every last bit of egg yolk out of there. I don't want to waste anything. Okay, now what I'm going to do, I'm going to give these on their own a bit of a quick blast before I add the other ingredients. So I'll just loosen that because the condensed milk's a bit warm, so I don't want the heat to generate too much. So if you'll excuse the noise now, I'm just going to give these a quick whiz. As you can see, still bits of black licorice floating around, so I'm going to give it a bit more to fully incorporate the licorice. Top off. Now I'm going to add the sweetened condensed milk. In she goes. Use a nice rubber spatula, get every bit of milk out of that as you can. Let's not waste anything. There you go. Push a bit of this down. So we have the licorice inside, the condensed milk, the sweetened condensed milk, the egg yolks and the butter. Now, just going to add just a cupful of vanilla essence. As I say, not necessary, but always helps, a bit of vanilla flavour in there. And I'm going to be a bit naughty, I'm going to put a little bit of black food colouring in. Again, remember this is totally optional. Careful with this stuff, it doesn't half stain. A little bit more. That should do it. And last but not least, about 3 or 4 thimble thumbs full of rum. Again, for those of you that don't like alcohol, don't do it. Okay, now basically all the ingredients are in now, so I'm going to put the top back on and I'm going to give it another blast. Just to make it extra smooth, I'm going to do it for another 5 minutes and then we'll come back and I'll show you the next stage. Okay, so we've blended everything up. Now, very simply, you just take it out into the container. Now as you can see, it'll look very, very runny, but don't worry about that, that's not a problem. Okay, now once you have it here, all we do from here is very simple. This just goes into the freezer now, uncovered. In 1 hour, I'm going to take it out, give it a bit of a blend to keep it loose. Then an hour later again, I'm going to give it one more blend, then cover it, and then keep it in the fridge for 5 or 6 hours covered, and then it'll basically be ready. So in the freezer it goes. Okay, so your ice cream's been in the freezer about 1 hour. All you do now, take it out, a little mixer or a blender like this, put it in the ice cream on your roll, give it a good mix. Okay, now by doing that, you're putting some air into the ice cream to get it nice and fluffy, stops it forming ice crystals as well. What I'm going to do now, I'm going to put it back in the freezer. Then in another hour, I'm going to do this one more time. Okay, then we'll cover it, and then we're going to leave it for overnight or 6 or 7 hours, and it'll be ready. So I'm going to put this back in the freezer for another hour, one more time. Okay, so welcome back. Now this is about 12 hours later because I've had other things to do. I'm just taking the greaseproof paper off. Now let's go in and test it. I'm going to scoop. Well, it's nice and soft. Oh yes, that's going around very, very well. I'm now going to put it into the dish. Voila. Now comes what I consider to be the best part, the tasting. So, here goes. Good consistency. Yeah, a little bit more I think. As you can see, great consistency ice cream. In she goes. Now, I don't know about anyone else, but for me, that is excellent licorice ice cream. Try it yourself, put a like if you like this, and subscribe, and don't forget, next I'll be doing blueberry cheesecake ice cream, so enjoy.